Hey guys, Stealth here. Welcome to the War Room, episode 52 already. And let's kick it off with what I went up to last week. I hope you guys all had a last week. Had a good last week. I certainly did. There was a lot of stuff going on the body language area, which is my real main business area. And last week I did a presentation initially for 50 business people. That was on a Monday. And then on a Wednesday, I followed it up with another presentation, pretty much the same one, for 140 lawyers. Now that is by far the biggest presentation I have ever done. I started out a year and a half ago with a presentation for 5 to 7 guys, and I was dead nervous. I was like, oh god, I'm going to be put on display, I'm going to have to do all this body language stuff for them. I'm going to have to talk for hours at end, and I was really nervous. And now, I was talking to 140 people, and I was like, yeah, this is going to be fun. Let's just do it. These guys are paying me extremely well for 1 hour of presentation, so let's do it. And I'm not going to share exactly how well I get paid, but it was north of €1,000 for an hour. So, in case you're ever wondering, is there any money to be made as a speaker or a public speaker? Yes, absolutely. There is definitely money to be made. You just have to make sure you have an interesting topic and that the topic actually adds value. In the sense that my topic, if even a couple of lawyers from that room use that to gain new clients or to treat the clients that they have so well that those will keep coming back or start spreading mouth to mouth, then it's going to be totally worth it for them. And that's why they asked me back for another session for a smaller group for sometime next year. It's going to be a whole day planning and a whole day of how to read body language, how to improve your body language. I have no idea how much to charge for that yet, but it's going to be awesome. Not in the sense of how much I'm earning, but working with these people, training them, helping them get better at social interactions, because let's face it, that is really everything is about communication. And especially in an area such as the lawyers. And these particularly were lawyers who were involved with people having been involved in an accident, and then they want to get some sort of compensation from the other party. So let's say somebody hit you with their car, you get hurt, and instead of just getting someone else fined by the government or by the police, you also want to get a sort of compensation for being hit. Those are the kinds of lawyers that I was talking to. And surprisingly, there were still some lawyers who still said, well, look, body language is all good and interesting, and communication is important, but what it really comes down to is the legal knowledge. And then there were others who said, are you nuts? In this field, advising people and telling people how they can get the compensation that they need, so the legal part, but mostly just being there for them and hearing their stories, that is 80% communication, 80% listening, talking, communicating with them. And they do start to realize that the non-verbal part, so the body language part, which is my area of expertise, is definitely becoming more and more important. So that was last week. Dwindling or sticking a little bit with the communication topic, just consider how important communication is. Because every time I realize it, I just immediately start pondering about it again. Here's why. For example, you have let's say you're in a car. Let's say you're just driving down the highway or some sort of local townway. And for some reason there's a jackass in front of you who just does not indicate direction. He does not indicate where he wants to go. He does not share his intentions. He does not notify you when he changes lanes. That, too, is a lack of communication. And that, too, is going to cause a problem. Not as much as an interpersonal problem yet, but it could cause an accident. And I believe that most accidents, not just on highways, but basically everywhere, are caused by lacks of communication. Talking about lack of communication, you know who's really bad at that? Wargaming EU. So no, that's not the Wargame staff. I'm not talking about Wargame Red Dragon or Eugen. They are definitely getting better at their communication. But, for example, Wargaming from World of Warships. These guys are just utterly terrible at communication. There was a whole flaming post or rant post on the Reddit for World of Warships about just how bad these guys can fuck up, and not just once, not just twice, but consistently. And some of that is actually down to communication. For example, the World of Warships group has a event calendar. A monthly calendar, so you know exactly what is going on, what events to expect, what cruiser lines, for example, to grind. You can plan what you want to do that weekend, and if there is anything interesting going on World of Warships. So if you need to reserve, for example, Saturday or Sunday for that. For some reason, they said, no, we're no longer doing that. And the reason is that their page views for that specific page for the event calendar were dropping. The weird part is that they never communicated this. So after, I think, 11 or 12 days this month in October, the event calendar was released, where it's normally released at the beginning of the month. But because of a lack of communication, and I believe due to a cock-up on their end, they just didn't share the information. They just didn't share, like, hey guys, we're not going to be posting the event calendar anymore because. And sure, some people would not have liked it, others wouldn't have cared, and most people would have just understood. If it doesn't get them what they really want, then maybe they don't do it anymore, or they need to rethink their whole formula. Whichever it is, I don't care. Just communicate your intent. That's all that I'm asking. But no, that was apparently not in the cards. So now the whole community was up in arms again about, guys, where the hell's the event calendar? And why is it taking almost 10 days to get this thing posted? And this just keeps going on with Wargaming EU. Communication skills leave a lot to be desired, and this is causing so much bad faith and so much feeling of, here we go again, that it is just such a waste. Such a waste. It's not that hard to communicate what your intentions are. Just say, hey, look, we're not going to be posting the event calendar anymore, or the reason that this specific premium ship is not on sale yet is X, Y, and Z. Or just communicate that, hey guys, the ship is not on sale yet, but we're going to be putting her on sale in the next 10 days. Even that is clear communication. Now, I'm going to use that as a bit of a segue to the killer clowns. You may be thinking, what the hell do killer clowns have to do with communication skills? Well, quite a lot, actually. I'm not sure if you've been keeping up to date with the whole killer clown thing, and no, I'm not talking about Mr. Trump in the United States. The killer clowns originally started, I believe, with the horror movies, then got picked up by the DM Prankster channel, which is the channel that pretty much got famous for launching all of these clowns pranks. And now the population at large has seemingly gotten very, very much interested in getting or becoming a killer clown. In the sense that they start to pop up more and more. Even here in the Netherlands, I've heard of, I think, 1 or 2 incidents where a killer clown or a guy in a clown suit who was actually wielding a knife was arrested because his intentions were not quite clear. Talk about communicating intent. Anyway, the thing that I looked into last week is why we're actually afraid of clowns, and specifically killer clowns. I mean, that much is pretty certain, because killer clowns, more often than not, are armed. With an axe, with a chainsaw, with a knife, whatever they are armed with. But not just that. You see, normally we want to see what someone else is up to. And this is down to our instinct of survival. You want to see if the enemy or if the person that's approaching you is friendly. If they are there to help you out. If they're there to attack you. Either is fine, so long as you know in advance. So what we do is we try to read their body language. English is hard. we try to read their face, which, if they're wearing a mask, is virtually impossible, because you're getting this, well, depending on the mask, you're getting this friendly-ish appearance, and then all of a sudden they attack, or they scare the shit out of you. And there's, of course, the weird voices. It's a mismatch between what we expect and what we get, in the sense that what we get is usually some sort of, let's say, guy who's nice to children, who entertains, who's fun. Instead, you get, whereas you expect a grown man with a standard voice, you get all of these weird high-pitched or extremely low-pitched voices which throw you off. And the same for their body language. The body language is just weird. I mean, when we're talking to a person, we just usually keep our head level. But they can be watching you with their head held under a pretty much, I'm going to say 90-degree angle, but, you know, tilted completely onto their shoulder. And once again, we're going like, what the hell? Who is this guy? What does he want? So, there is actually an article, and I'm going to be linking to it in the description down below, that is on killer clown psychology. So in case that you're wondering how the hell are we even scared of these guys, if at all, why is the population at large scared, let's just leave it at that, then have a look at that article, because it's a really, really interesting read. And something I'm wondering about, is the whole killer clowns thing really an issue in your area? Because, of course, the media makes it out to be one of these big problems, and oh, we've got killer clowns everywhere, but I personally haven't really seen them. At least not here. And I only heard about one incident in a nearby city where one of the guys was arrested. That's it. Is this really that much of a problem in your area? Let me know in the comments, because I'm really, really interested in figuring that out. And I think that amongst each other we can be a bit more accurate than the media at large. Anyway, moving on to the next point. Have a look at Gladiabots. It's a game that I picked up yesterday. It's a game that you can play either on your tablet or your phone or the PC. It's available for all platforms. And Gladiabots is a nice little program/game where you command your robots to do your bidding. But this is not your average robot, let's say simulator, or your average robot game. What you have to do here is do a sort of easy programming of the thing. So for example, you start out really easy. You have two bases, one for red and one for green. You have one ball in the middle, and the objective of either team is to get that ball, or that resource as they call it in the game, back to your base. If you do, then you score a point. At the same time, if you do have the ball or the objective, then you are going to be taking fire, because these bots are armed with some sort of machine guns or pulse weapons or whatever you want to call it. And your objective is to just program these guys to do your bidding, because once you have done that, you can no longer change them. You can no longer change the programming mid-play, as it were. You play that out to the scenario and you see if it works. Sometimes your bots get destroyed, sometimes you need to adjust the programming. It is really a lot of fun. Now, I'm not heavily into programming, because I never really took that much of an interest in it. But what I do find interesting is stuff like this, because it's combining trouble solving with programming, and it's doing it in such an easy fashion that even I can do it. So that is Gladiabots. Link in the description down below. Have a look. I'll definitely be covering it on my channel soon, because I think it's worth the attention. Other than that, I have been playing a lot of Fallout. I have barely been on for Wargame Red Dragon. The only reason that I'm on is that I'm doing either a tactical video, a ranked gameplay video, or a replay for you guys. And that's it. Other than that, I don't play Red Dragon. I am so completely caught up in Fallout 4. And of course, I had a look at if the DLCs are worth it, and I believe that they are. So I got the Season Pass, which of course gets you even deeper into the whole Fallout universe, because you go, oh yeah, I want to try this, and I want to go there, and I want to do this, and I want to have a look at that area. But pretty much every, I'm not going to say every waking moment, but, well, near enough. Every waking moment for both Saturday and Sunday was spent on playing Fallout 4. The moments that I wasn't playing on Fallout 4 was visiting a movie, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. It's a very, very, I'm going to say nice and gentle movie, in the sense that it is fun to watch, it's lighthearted, I'm not going to say it's a children's movie per se, because I can imagine that kids find that scary up to a certain point, but it's just very, very nice. Have a look at the trailer, link to that in the description down below. Let's move on to what's happening this week. Wargame Red Dragon doesn't have any patches coming up as far as I know. I don't know if they're changing Israel at all. I believe that they will be, I'm just not sure when. And of course, it could be that I'm just completely misinformed and that I haven't been picking up all the signals which were there because I was too busy playing Fallout. Perfectly likely there. Something that is likely to come out for World of Warships is HMS Belfast. The Belfast is the Tier 7 UK destroyer. No, let's try that again. It's the Tier 7 UK cruiser, premium cruiser. And from what I've seen on videos, it's a bit overpowered in its current form. You see, normally a Tier 7 cruiser gets a number of consumables and a number of slots so that it's balanced. At Tier 8 you get another slot for example, a concealment module that makes your ship harder to detect. The Belfast also gets that concealment module, so it's harder to detect. The Belfast gets, and this is very, very unusual, it gets hydroacoustic search, which is basically sonar, so you can detect incoming torpedoes, as well as detect destroyers through a smokescreen. It has the ability to put up smoke screens. The only other cruisers that can do that are the USS Flint, which is a premium, or well, semi-premium, that you can get as a ranked reward for World of Warships. And finally, the Mikhail Kutuzov, the Tier 8 USSR cruiser, or the Soviet cruiser. Those are the ships that have smoke, and now apparently Belfast has it too. It also gets radar, which is very unusual. It gets radar. Now radar is not that unusual at Tier 7, but something that has a smokescreen and radar and hydroacoustic search is going to be the absolute bane of destroyers. In the sense that, for example, you have an enemy destroyer. You simply sail into the smoke, either with your radar active or your hydroacoustic search active. You kill off the destroyer. Then, if you happen to pop out of his smoke screen, that's not really that much of a problem because you can pop your own. If the enemy is not able to find you yet because you are inside the smoke screen from the enemy, you can still use your radar if you haven't used it yet, and that way detect anything outside the smoke screen. Just keep peppering it with the 152mm guns. I'm not too sure if they're going to keep it in the current configuration. Here's the interesting thing though. They already released it to YouTubers, and the super testers I believe are still working on it. Wargaming also released a video on naval wonders, or what was the title again? Naval Heroes, something like that. It's a documentary sort of video where Wargaming explores the Belfast. Now all of those things usually lead to the ship being released. It's just that simple. Usually you have these signals that say, hey, a ship is approaching. And no, I'm not talking about a real life ship. I'm talking about an item or an issue being released. So a ship is being released in the sense that you have the NDA, which is lifted. The non-disclosure agreement with the YouTubers is lifted. So you suddenly start seeing videos of it. Then you start to see stuff like documentaries on the channel from World of Warships. And that usually means that the launch is very, very close. So I'd say it's probably going to happen this week. Unless they determine that the ship, once again, might be overpowered and that they're going to change it once more. Don't know if that's going to happen. I hope not, because I really look forward to playing the Belfast this week. But we'll just have to wait and see. But in its current configuration, what I have heard from pretty much all the YouTubers is that it is a must-buy. The ship is just that good. Now, until then, I do have another replay coming up for you from World of Warships, which is going to be a destroyer replay. I had a really nice game in the USS Gearing last week, and I'm very happy to show that with you. I'll show that to you. And From the Depths, the series that ended a bit too soon as far as I'm concerned by just getting outside of my Hearthstone range and not being able to return. I am going to be starting up a new series. I just don't really know what to do with yet. Because, I mean, I can go with another submarine, although that would be a bit easy. I could go with a surface ship, which would likely be very busy to watch, in the sense that there's a lot happening, and there's a good chance that I will not be able to survive for very long. The airship, I am just absolutely terrible at. I have tried building airships, and, well, it wasn't pretty. It is just a large platform, and that's all that it is. I just usually build a large platform. It looks like shit. Doesn't really float that well. So airships are not really my thing. And airplanes have the problem of not being able to absorb a lot of resources when they're in a resource zone. So all of this is, well, causing me to probably go with a surface ship for now. And expect the video to come up Thursday. That is, if I can get away from Fallout 4 long enough to do that. And that's pretty much it for this week. I hope that you have a chance to check out the Clark Clown Psychology link in the description down below. It is really interesting to read. Let me know what you're going up to, or what you were up to this week, what kind of games you're playing, what things I need to be on the lookout for, and have a look at Gladiabots, link in the description down below, in case you're wondering exactly what kind of game that is and if it's any interesting to you. So, thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you soon for more videos.